Established in 1818, Maple Hill Cemetery boasts the claim to fame that it is both the oldest and largest municipal cemetery in continuous operation not only in the state of Alabama, but the entirety of the American South. Located at 202 Maple Hill Street Southeast in Huntsville, Alabama, Maple Hill has several entrances as well as several spooky tales attached to it. Two of those tales belong to the Bibb family interred here, and two take place elsewhere, but also have key players of their own buried here as well. One is all Maple Hills, but as a perfectly logical explanation. I have gone back and forth on what to talk about here and what to save for their own ghost bites, and I suppose it doesn't really matter if I repeat myself a little. The nature of the TikTok algorithms doesn't send all of my videos to any given person. Still, I'll leave breadcrumbs to find each full-fledged story, my little strangelings. I digress. Notable ghostly tale figures interred here are Sally Carter of the Cedarhurst legend. While she haunts Cedarhurst Mansion elsewhere in Huntsville, her body, which was originally buried on the Cedarhurst property, ended up relocated here to Maple Hill due to a couple factors. One, her grave was becoming damaged due to the popularity of her story, and two, redevelopment of the Cedarhurst property and surrounding neighborhood necessitated its relocation. I covered Cedarhurst and Sally's full story in Ghost Bite number 16. Another story about Maple Hill is also a direct result of a relocated grave. Thomas Bibb was one of Alabama's state senators as well as its second governor. Of course, this also means he was a rich man, and being white and rich in the 1800s in the Deep South meant that he was a plantation owner. To be sure, Thomas Bibb loved his plantation that he called Belmina. When he died in 1839, he was buried behind it, but not long after, his body was exhumed and relocated here to Maple Hill. Turns out, this made Thomas one seriously unhappy camper, because it's said that on the night of a full moon, amid much pomp and circumstance, Mr. Bibb calls up his 1800s Uber to pick him up and take him home. There's more on that in Ghost Bite number 14. Thomas isn't the only Bibb buried here in Maple Hill, unable to rest. His daughter-in-law, Mary, resides in the cemetery's first ever mausoleum. It is said she was accidentally given poison on her wedding day, and while it took months for her to perish, February to May, she was interred here in her wedding gown, and according to legend, sitting upright in her rocking chair. She'll be the legend associated with Ghost Bite number 15. Finally, there is one ghostly tale associated with the cemetery, and most notably, the playground behind it. They call it the Playground of Dead Children, for it is said the children interred in graves within Maple Hill leave them at night to flit through the gate at the back of the cemetery and cross the narrow street to come here to Maple Hill Park and play area. It has been said that the disembodied voices of children at play can be heard here, and that the play equipment, such as the swings, have been known to move on their own. Finally, last but not least, is the Erskine Mausoleum. The largest of the mausoleums in Maple Hill, it belongs to a man who killed himself during the stock market crash of the 1930s. Albert Erskine was the president of Studebaker Motors, and when he'd seen the heavy losses he and his company took during the crash, he made a very permanent solution to what would eventually amount to a long-lasting but eventual temporary problem in taking his own life with a self-inflicted fatal gunshot wound. The legend goes that if you drive from the main entrance of the cemetery in the direction of the Erskine Mausoleum, an angel will appear on the door, which, if you recall in Cemetery Files number 31 for Lakeview Cemetery and the Hazarat Angel and its black tears, so too can the Erskine legendary angel be explained by the play of light and natural oxidization of the mausoleum's door. That's a lot of ghost lore and legend packed into one cemetery, my little strangelings. More than any other cemetery I've covered to date, which after 42 of these is really saying something. If you would like more in-depth coverage on the legends and lore of Maple Hill Cemetery, be sure to track down those Ghost Bites. I'm sure they're back there a ways on my channel. I've been trying to catch up in numbers between the Ghost Bites and the Cemetery Files. As always, I'll leave you here with the until next time, and as always, happy hauntings.